All right, my friends. Welcome everybody. You know what time it is. So we're gonna just get started here in a second. Momentarily. All right. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Welcome, my friends. Welcome. Okay, so we'll get started officially here in a second. Just gonna settle in, read chat, say what up. Sorry, the music isn't super hyped today. Just been super busy recently. Haven't really had time to think about the music as much. How's dog? Yeah, this guy's coming in with the real questions. Dog's doing great. I think he's almost 8 months old now. He ate some carpet last week though, so that was not cool. That was the first time he's like really destroyed something. But I don't have any dramatic complaints. He's mostly a good dog, so very happy about it. Just turned 3. Okay. Yeah, I had a 11-year-old Great Dane that I had to put down earlier this year, which was super rough. But the puppy definitely brought back the vibes. All right, guys. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started here in a second. If you're new, I do more or less the same kind of routine every week. I start with my Bitcoin views. We'll work our way down into the lower time frames on Bitcoin, and then we'll address alts. Alts are pretty spicy right now, so I will, I'll definitely do a section covering that. Before I get into this, though, I have 2 starting shills. Actually, first off, before I even do this, shout out to Coinbase for sponsoring all my content. I don't really yap about it too hard, but it really is just like a badge of honor for me personally to have such a reputable, strong brand want to work with me. So shout out to Coinbase. Okay, so I'm not sure to what extent I'm going to leak. Probably going to be censoring a lot, but I am going to yap in some generalized terms about the updated trading system that I'm working on. That's going to be going live in the Paragon hopefully at the end of this week. And if you've been considering joining at any point, this is the time when you're going to want to do that, because we've got code Mojito today, 15% off. I think that, you're going to want to capitalize on this, because I know that I know a lot of you guys missed the last discount cycle because of the amount of DMs that we got about it. So if you've been waiting, just go ahead and capitalize on that now, because we're not going to do any discounts anytime soon, right? Maybe the next discount cycle is at the very end of the year, maybe. But all right, so the trading system talk we will cover later in the video after I run through the market outlook bit. And yeah, we'll kind of see where the stream takes us. Gonna focus on my Bitcoin plans, and then from there we'll work on altcoin plans, and then we'll get into Q&A and education stuff. So let me check chat, see what's up with everybody. What's up, everybody? What up? Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. What breed? He is a Labradoodle. Got a 50-50. Actually, he's 75% poodle, 25% lab, technically. I know that you're not here for the dog alpha, but you want if you ever do a split, you want to do one of the doodles, you want to have it more on the doodle side, because you have a chance of not getting the hypergenic advantages, right? Having them not shed and not produce a bunch of allergy bullshit if you have too much lab. It's kind of roll the dice beyond that with the genetics. All right, thanks everybody. Thank you. What up? What up, everybody? No cuss. Did I already cuss? Did I already break the rules? All right, guys. So I'm gonna officially get started here. I'm just gonna do the Bitcoin outlook right now. Press that like button for me if you have not already. Appreciate it. Okay, where do we want to start? Let's do macro, obviously. I mean, you look at the high time frame chart, I know that the candle that we just put in yesterday on the daily, you probably saw a whole bunch of people, shitting their pants on the timeline or whatever, right? We just to make fun of that kind of candle option, I think we have the exact same one. I mean, we've done it before, right? Like right here, we've done it right here. This is not a good example. Where's the one at the start of this trend? I don't remember where it was, to be honest, but I'm just trying to ramble out some ideas. We basically did exactly one of these kind of things over here at some point. I don't remember when it was, and I remember making fun of it on Twitter because everyone was talking about how the daily candles cooked. Shit doesn't matter, guys. All right, so let's get into a little bit of macro yap. When I look at this chart, right, everything looks really good. My two main plans I was operating off of recently were, after we lost this range, I was either expecting us to build out a range below that range or re-accept back into the previous range. I did think that the range below the previous range was most likely, but bulls are strong as fuck, right? You cannot be faded. So we got the V recovery right back into the range. And yeah, I mean, I think that as far as high time frame goes, there's zero reason to be bearish at all. The main thought process for everybody should be, if you're ever gifted with any dips, you buy them, right? And maybe you take profit along the way so you have some ammo when the dips come. But realistically, right, like, I'm not interested in selling any Bitcoin anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, so that really is basically where we're at, right? You know, come over to the levels chart really quickly. 120K is really significant resistance right now for us. That was, you know, more or less expected way before we even got to that point. As Bitcoin goes into price discovery, you're just going to have to make levels up. If you've watched my streams for a long time now, this super, you know, common thing that you're used to seeing from me. When we're in price discovery levels, I'm just going to make numbers up, right? Psychological round numbers really play out over and over and over again. Even, I mean, you can just see this on the chart, right? Like, look at this chart. What are the significant resistances and supports, right? 120, 110, 100, 90 is a level, right? 80 is a level, right? All these round numbers. So think round numbers along the way. The next major upside target once we eventually defeat 120 is going to be 150. Who knows if we're going to defeat it right now or maybe have a bit of a pullback. If we do, I'm just going to buy more, honestly. I'll talk about positioning and my medium time frame plans and stuff when we get there, so you'll have more detail on what I'm doing. But I am expecting us to trade up, right? You know, I'm long equities, I'm long Bitcoin, I'm long a couple of alts here and there. My altcoin exposure is pretty light, but we'll do detailed bullshit on that later. TLDR. I mean, come on, guys. It's optimism season, right? We're starting to get to the later stages of the summertime. I think that, you know, view this from a quarterly basis. Consensus is probably what I've been saying for a while, right? Up only Q4, right? A lot of people are expecting that. So let me teach you guys a really important lesson. If consensus is to play out, it's not going to just do this, most likely, right? Yes, this kind of scenario could play out. Most likely, if we're going to see a Q4 up only, we're going to have some sort of fuck you event. Now, the caveat here is that this could be taking place from higher, but essentially you should expect some sort of dip at the beginning or the end of Q3 or the beginning of Q4. That's the general idea, right? Look back at previous years or previous quarterly opens. It is definitely something that we've repeated many, many times before. So if my consensus kind of, you know, up on the Q4 argument's going to play out, which I do think it will, I think that there's probably going to be, you know, either a brutal Q4 open or something like that, right? Maybe even you like open bullishly on the Q4 and then have it like late, you know, maybe it comes in like November or something weird like that, right? Like, just be open-minded that it's not going to be literally just a straight line up. But I do think that, you know, more or less, you know, if you're on like the weekly chart, it's going to be a straight line up. If you're on the daily chart or, you know, 4-hour chart, it's going to be a little more choppy. All right, guys. So that's more or less a lot of the big picture talking points on Bitcoin. You know, what we just had really reminded me a lot of this. You know, I'll just draw this out so it's more clear. When you build a range, you break up from the range, you build another range, and, you know, some violent fear comes through and you come back in the direction of retesting of the previous one. OG Bitcoin price action would have told me that, like, you really shouldn't see this kind of stuff taking place, right? We're doing the same thing right here. This really goes against, you know, a lot of my old systems, but, you know, we're in this boomer spot denominated market these days. So, I mean, I guess maybe we're going to see some of these more, like, clean retests like this. Pretty wild to see that repeated twice, especially if we go up from here. It would just show us the how Bitcoin is just becoming, you know, just a classic risk on asset, right, in the way that it moves. I don't have a ton of other macro thoughts, right? I've already said the major things. If you have any questions on this stuff, definitely hit me with that. But yeah, we'll talk about ETH and various other things when we get to that section. Overall, though, I mean, yeah, just closing thoughts. Chart looks phenomenal. Think we trade up. If we do any sort of medium time frame dips, which I can cover when we get to the medium time frame section shortly, I will just be betting on it, right? All right, guys. Maximizing the dog splits 100%. Acceptance back into value means rotation back to value very low. No, I don't know what you mean, right? So if we build a range, lose the range, and come back into it, what you mean value area high? Because you put value area low, right? So you mean if the likelihood of us coming back to value area high is good, but there's no argument for us to, necessarily retest the low, right? Like, yes, you probably will retest the low, but there's no, like, argument for it there. Okay, what else we got? Others against Bitcoin looks bottomed out. I don't really look at those kind of charts, although I unironically have it up here. I don't really pay attention to that stuff that much, but I'll take your word for it. Can maybe look at that during the altcoin section. Code Mojito, laugh my ass off, 100%, yeah. You know how Charlie does it. What up, checkers? What indicators are you using? You know what is, coincidentally, Lear just finished editing the TradingView order flow YouTube video. So I'm going to have a video coming out, probably not today, maybe later this week at some point though, that is going to, it's a full breakdown, shows you all the indicators I use and all the settings and everything. To answer your questions, it's pretty much just volume profile and VWAP that you're going to see on your charts when we look like this. Now I meant since we accepted below the value area high, around 120K, no. I mean, I do think we're rotational, but Jolly Rancher, I think there's more nuance in that than us just going back to 116. The closing thoughts on macro, right? I don't yap about this stuff too much, but I guess it's important to say, right? Take a step back and think about the big picture environment that you're in, right? I've traded so many different environments and regimes and stuff over the years, but undoubtedly the one that we're in right now is the most opportunistic, like the most, optimistic, right, kind of situation we've ever been in. Having this monster Ponzi dynamic baked into our crypto markets, where we have the passive flows in ETFs, all the flows coming from the treasury companies, we have the administration, being supportive, right? I'm not a macro nerd, but I always see the rate cut yap coming in. I don't give two shits about that, for the record, right? But eventually, these stars are just going to keep aligning. And what's going to happen long term is that we're going to go up a fuck ton because of it. And then in the long term, this stuff is probably going to cook us. But just be mindful, like, the lesson that, I didn't make this up, right? But the lesson that you want to learn with this is that the music is still playing. You keep dancing. You never sit down when the music is playing. You just get ready for the music to stop playing and keep an eye on a chair. So have a plan for what it's going to look like when things are cooked and whatnot. But as it stands, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me to be not expecting Bitcoin, to trade higher, right? And same thing goes for ETH. We'll touch on that later. I have a question. Do you think altcoin season tops around December, January following seasonality? Who knows, bro? Very possible. Can't really speculate on something like that, right? All my trading is, based around what Bitcoin does. So the answer to that question will come to me in real time as I watch Bitcoin, pretty much. Yes, the idea that we top out in, see major assets like Bitcoin probably topping out in November, December, and then saying dog shitters topping out a couple months after that. Very possible, right? That's very 2017-esque. We'll have to wait and see, though. Is this the toughest cycle you've been in? So perspective, changes these things. So my honest answer is no. Not for me personally. It's definitely not the hardest cycle, but I imagine for a lot of other people it has been the hardest cycle. For me, I'm just lucky, guys, right? I went into this cycle in a very comfortable position, had a lot of experience too, so I understood the ideas of, like, the main things that really screwed people over this cycle were not knowing how to filter for strength with assets and knowing what to bet on, right? I got lucky, it's a combination of skill and luck that I bet on Bitcoin and Solana the first half of this cycle, right? And that's really worked for me, right? I'm not really running that strat anymore, but my honest answer is it's not been hard for me at all, but I understand why it's been difficult for other people. I came into this cycle in a position of comfort, right? And having all the experience and frankly having some of the money too, right? So I understand why it's been difficult for people though. But the lessons that I teach guys will help. I teach you guys the lessons so that you can make it easier for yourself, right? Develop the understanding that I teach around how Bitcoin moves, and then translate that over to the understanding around how altcoins move in relation to Bitcoin, and if you're patient and you understand that stuff, you can trade these markets pretty effectively. I've been teaching it for years now, so you have the opportunity. All right, I'm gonna finish up the questions and then I'm gonna move on. I'll do super light V appage and then we'll do medium time frame. Is Bonk guy offloading? No idea, bro. I don't pay attention to that stuff. Is there an ETH BTC trade to be made here? Very possible. You're already starting to get a little bit late to it. You're definitely not early to it. But that's fine, guys. I've been late to the ETH cycle this time around, and that's fine. I'll do a full breakdown on ETH after we finish up Bitcoin. Don't worry, don't worry. ETH is, I actually want to talk about ETH for the first time, you know, because I own it now. As far as alt season goes, only the alts with actual utility will have a run and survive. The years of alts running wild together is over. I don't agree that alts will only go up to have utility. I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, some things will go up because they have utility, but generally speaking, you don't have to have utility for it to go up, right? Yeah, Gunners, that's facts. Everyone press like and make sure you're subscribed. You got 170 of you new in here and only 38 likes. Holy shit, I can't speak. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Closing thoughts on the altcoin thing, guys, are, you know, non-utility tokens will do well. Utility tokens can do well. It has really nothing to do with any of that. It's just like, is the coin good or not, right? Which you ultimately determine from the chart mostly. ETH target, 10K. All right, here's the free alpha, guys. Always overestimate the targets when you yap to other people. So if you think ETH could go to 10K, always say 15. Always say 20K, right? Last cycle, ETH topped at 5K, and I used to say it was going to 10K, and I sold it like 4,700, I think. So there you go. Okay, on macro, I've recently heard about the scenario of ETH and BTC taking turns, making moves, signal. We talked about that a little bit in the Paragon. That's really an old school style of thing, right? Like ETH going up meant alts go up. There's probably some truth to that, but Bitcoin is still going to be the main coin, you know, for me. People that argue only alts with utility. I've been there. Yeah, I mean, we've all been there, right? That's how you learn. That's how you learn to not care about these things and just be purely objective and non-emotional about it, right? The only thing that I have any fear of selling at all is my Bitcoin. None of the other coins I'm ever going to be scared of taking profit on, right? If I have to buy them back higher, I buy them back higher. I don't care about, I'm just trying to make money. Now that time has passed, it's fair to say everyone Sol and Doge targets were miles off. I mean, what did I just say though, Jeggers? Like, that's what you do, right? When you're a Solana bull and you're long from $30 on Solana and it goes to 300, you're gonna keep telling people it's gonna go to 5, 6, 7, 800, right? That's what you do, and you either start to round trip and sell it, or you sell it at some point, whatever, right? You know. Like, I'm always gonna come on here and tell you that I think Doge is gonna go to $2. Because you want to aim for the, you want to aim far with this shit, in it for the tech. People saying Litecoin flipping Bitcoin will be a top signal. No fucking way somebody said that. If Litecoin even comes remotely close to flipping Bitcoin, boys, sell it all. Invest in guns, ammo, water, food reserves, a bunker, right? It's the end of the world if Litecoin starts to flip Bitcoin, seriously. All right, guys, I'm going to ignore chat for a few minutes. I know that you guys are still chatting, but I want to get focused up and make sure I cover all my topics today. So, super quick scan on the V yappage. Yearly looks insanely strong. It is extended from value, but overall it looks really fucking good. Same kind of argument with the quarterly. I expected the quarterly to develop more choppy than this, and it's actually starting to look like a bull trend. Obviously the rolling looks really good. So the quarterly scan looks pretty decent. Basic argument on the quarterly is any sort of dips into the lows of the quarterly are macro buy territory, right? I don't think that you're going to get low buying opportunities anymore, though. Monthly, pretty much the same kind of argument. But, yeah, monthly looks pretty good, and we're going to skip over the weekly. Let us dive into medium time frame now. So basically, medium time frame plans are higher, right? I think that we, yesterday after we started to sell off, this is roughly what I expected the range to look like. Build it over the high volume node of the range. So we'll build a little micro range, and that was your setup to, you know, to bet on more. I did add to the bags. Share that in the group as well. So right now, I think that the main idea is that, you know, I cannot predict when the spark of momentum is going to come. Anybody that says that, you know, is full of shit. All I can do is buy the dip when it comes and be patient. I think eventually, whether it's going to come right now this second, or it's going to come next week, or it's going to come next month, I don't really care. I'm down to be patient and wait. Eventually, we're going to get a spark of momentum that is going to get us through 120, right? Let's go to a cleaner chart really quickly. There's a lot of scenarios that could take place, right? You could just see us just go up from here, right? You could see us building out the range, which was the main kind of thought that I had, right? I think what we're going to end up doing is, just like I thought this would be more of a range, I think this is going to play out the same way, where it starts as a range and then just like trades up a lot faster than the range mindset would tell you. So if you do get, you know, any dips, you know, any dip that you trade up and you dip down, you know, it's a buy, right? You know, literally buying at the price points you're at now make sense to me, because your risk definition is just you're invalidated below here, right? So 116-ish or something like that, you're invalidated on your risk, and you probably wait for it to trade lower and then reload another long and send it again, right? So that's the basic idea, right? I don't think that we're going to trade down this far. If we do, it's a God-given opportunity, even though I probably will lose a little bit in the process. It will be a fantastic, you know, big picture opportunity. Most likely, though, you know, we're probably not going to dip too far beyond where we just dipped to. So if you get a short-term dip down in this direction at some point, you want to buy it. I'm not sitting here praying for the dip anymore, right? I've been buying over and over and again, basically. You know, I'll share my altcoin plans when we get to there, but that's basically it for Bitcoin, right? I don't have a ton of other stuff to say. I think it's just a matter of time. We're either going to get bonked by 121, you know, maybe we get bonked once more and we see it pull back a little. Maybe it's a deeper pullback. I don't think that this happens. I think the more shallow pullback makes the most sense. But if you get given that, it really is just a matter of time before we end up defeating this level. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me make sure there's no other doodles worth mentioning. Probably not. What the fuck is this? This is embarrassing for TradingView. There we go. Let's cook in my PC right now. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on. I'm gonna check chat. If there's any medium time frame questions, hit me. Otherwise, we're gonna finish up Bitcoin here very shortly and move over into ETH and then alts. Patience is the name of the game right now, though, for sure. The sweep of all the highs and acceptance back below the value area high on medium time frame actually seems like fuel for the range low now. It could, man. I think that the bids are just too strong that are coming in. It's that simple, right? These kind of, you know, guys, way too many people that either are learning auction market theory or have quote unquote learned it, right? Just think it's just like all of price that you see on your chart has to do with like, oh, you come back into the range, so you test the low, you come back into the range, so you test the high, you come back in, you test the POC, you reject from it, so you go lower. All those like basic auction market theory rules, yeah, they're valid, but at the same time, you got to contextualize them, right? We have just a monster fucking bid coming in. I don't think that like shorting or praying for the dip is necessarily the play at this point, right? You keep giving opportunities to buy the dip, so you just got to capitalize on one of those at some point. I literally doubled my bag about a penis nose. Nice. I don't know what you're saying, but nice. Do you still use your first trading strategy ever, or is it retired? Oh, dude, my original trading strategies, like way back in the day, were so fucking embarrassing. It was like, oh, it's trending up on Ichimoku, I buy a retest, which in reality is really not different from what I do with VWAPs now, but at least I like pretend like I know what I'm doing now. No, I don't use any of my original trading strategies. Were all fucking terrible. All right, my friends. So that's probably going to be it for Bitcoin. I think we'll go ahead and move over into the other section. I'm going to look at the boomers real quick. Really quick look on the boomers. I mean, S&P is about to make an all-time high again. Insanely strong. I didn't talk about this for years, but I have been in accumulation mode for boomer stuff for a while. It's just like the more passive side of my port. So oh, the NAS is already making all-time highs. We love to see that. General rule of thumb for you guys is you want to pay a little bit of attention to what equities are doing, even if you don't trade equities at all, because if equities are trading up, that is opportunistic for Bitcoin. If equities are trading down, you should expect sell pressure to come in on Bitcoin. Let's spend some time on ETH though. So firstly, I want to address ETH BTC. So as far as ETH BTC goes, the trend shift is valid now, right? So for years, I did not want to be an ETH respecter, even though I'll preface this by saying, guys, I made a ton of my early money off of ETH, right? I came in 2017 with ETH, and I bet on ETH really heavy in 2021 as well. So I do like ETH, right? At the, deep down, right? I made a lot of money with it. But for a long time, it was in a perpetual downtrend, so I just said, fuck this coin, right? We are now, this is what I said the entire way through. As we're downtrending, I'm telling you, I'm looking for that structural shift where one of these moves that comes up actually survives ranges and then legs up again, right? And that's what we've gotten. Leg up, leg up, leg up, right? So the structural shift is now valid. Anytime you see a big dip on ETH BTC, where Bitcoin outperforms ETH a lot and ETH pulls back, you want to buy it, right? Now this is now the start of an uptrend, most likely. Like I already made the confident switch over to that by buying ETH recently anyways, but it's super, super obvious, yeah? So I'm not, for the record, right, this is more of a, I'm just allocating my port into it. This is not like a trade where I have targets and stops and stuff. It's just, this is a strong coin, so I'm buying it. Clearly what's happening with ETH, and this is not a fucking spicy take at all, it's beyond common sense. ETH is going to catch a turbo bid because look at what Bitcoin just did over the past couple of years, right? The ETFs and the treasury company scam worked really well on Bitcoin. So now it's time to run it back turbo on ETH. So that's clearly what's happening. I saw just this morning another 20 billion that Tom Lee was going to be buying or I guess it was theoretically up to 20 billion that could be bought for ETH, right? So look at the ETH BTC chart. That's the first argument I want to make. This is the first structural trend shift that we've seen ever since like 2021. Crazy, absolutely crazy that it took this long. But finally, the financial cookers found a narrative. They found a Ponzi to run it back on ETH. So let's look at it against the dollar really quickly. What the fuck chart am I even looking at? Oh, there you go. We're looking at a history time. This is a really old chart, apparently. I don't normally look at the Coinbase ticker, apparently, but some of my old levels from way back in the day. I was a lot less experienced trading whenever these things were originally drawn, but here you go. I remember, this period for ETH was spicy, right? This was DeFi season, right? DeFi summer, and then DeFi winter. And this was just a real spicy period if you were an ETH holder, which basically ever since this period, I never rebought ETH until recently. So anyways, crazy to look at the levels. Let's get off this though. Come over to this one, which will not have the levels drawn. Look at it on the yearly. I mean, it's finally attacking its all-time highs. Trend structure looks really good. Nothing negative to say about this, other than the fact it's extremely valued from a value standpoint, right? So this does not matter if the turbo bid on ETH keeps coming in, but be mindful that the moment the treasury company ETH bid stalls out while they're raising more money or doing whatever bullshit they do, ETH will probably have a retrace stage, right? Because this is, value rate high in the yearly is, over $1,000 less than where we're at now. So eventually ETH will stall out. All that's going to do, going back to the ETH BTC chart, what did I just say? Eventually, this is going to have a big pullback, which will probably be what I just depicted. When this does a big pullback, you're going to want to allocate more to ETH, right? Until ETH loses momentum, that's the play right now. So that's basically where I'm at. I don't own a ton of ETH by any means. I'm not going to come on here and LARP. I'm still mostly a Bitcoin holder for my crypto port, but yeah, I mean, I did feel the need to allocate a bit to it. Any questions on this, and I'm happy to discuss it. I know one of the questions that's going to come up is the levels or whatever. Who fucking knows, right? Just make up meme levels, right? Or, you know, we'll do that live for you. What are the meme levels? Okay, we'll say 5,500 will probably matter. We're going to say fuck you to 5K, right? I just got that feeling we don't care about that. Most important level on the chart, obviously 6,900. That's your next major swing point target, 6,900. You heard it here first. I'm not even joking at all, even though you assume I am. That's it for ETH, though, unless you guys have any questions. I'm going to read through chat, and then I'm going to run through some more Altorinos. I got my DocXBT bot in the chat telling you guys to like and subscribe. Thanks, bro. Why in an uptrend price is able to rise with, but also open interest rise? Open interest doesn't fucking matter anymore, you know? I mean, okay, I shouldn't say that. That's way too much of an absolute. I'm almost getting tired of explaining this because I've said it so many times recently. Over the years, you know, if this is your starting point and this is your timeline, over the years, you slowly shift from a perp-denominated market to a spot-denominated market, right? I could go in and shove a bunch of open interest into the book, right? But if people are buying spot behind me, then it doesn't matter, right? So that's basically the answer. Open interest could rise, no problem. I mean, for ETH, for example, I bet you there's a ton of longs that are just getting away with just shoving in and then getting rewarded anyways. And it's because if there's just turbo ETH spot bids behind them, then it doesn't matter, right? So that's the lesson. TLDR, it's a spot market. 6,900 ETH, you heard it here first. Okay, guys, I'm going to run through some of my Altorinos, then I'll look at yours after I'm done with mine. So I still own some Solana. I don't own a big bag of this. I made the decision to rebalance it around here, and I have not bought any back since I originally sold. Actually did sell some recently, but that was just because I found some Solana. So from actual portfolio standpoint, I have not made any changes since this period. Still just ride or dying on the leftover sold that I didn't sell off. I look at this chart. I have no reason to look at this and be overly excited, but it doesn't look terrible either, right? A lot of these like decent-ish coins, they look okay right now, and it's not, as long as Bitcoin and ETH trade up, you know, Solana is going to go up too. So I'm not in any rush to sell my leftover Solana. The last coin that I have meaningful-ish exposure on is going to be Doge. It's definitely not been a strong performer recently, but I am optimistic that that's going to come at some point. We're going to get one of these kind of moves. And I'm going to lock it in. And, you know, realistically, I could see Doge just doing quick leg up to 50 cents or 60 cents or something like that. Having that be a pretty good, quick little trade. I could even see, right, if Bitcoin goes into just Super Saiyan Mania mode, right, a lot of these things are just going to go up ridiculous amounts. I'm going to speedrun some of these other coins. These are coins that I am interested in but do not own. Another meme coin I'm very interested in is SPX. I should have bought this a long time ago when I originally got shilled on it by Charlie. But I think it's a good-looking coin, good community. This chart looks good. It's kind of a no-brainer. I don't own any. I think Pepe is a decent meme coin bet as well. Basically falls in line with Doge and Bonk and a lot of the other large-cap memes. This is one that I might be interested in playing, but we'll see. It just depends on how many memes I end up wanting to bet on. Hype is a good layer 1 play. I would much rather bet on ETH over Hype, which I am currently choosing to do so. But it's not a bad looking chart. I just think that ETH is just gonna, you know, there's just kind of no sense in betting on any other major layer 1s other than ETH right now, right? It's just gonna win out. If you are interested in any sort of DeFi plays, I think Aave is the clear winner. That's what I've been saying for a while now. Yeah, I mean, Aave looks really good. For those of you guys that don't know my lore, Aave was one of the things that helped me, you know, kind of find success after having gone full-time as a trader. It's one of my first really big successful trades I had after I quit my job in 2020. So I'll always love Aave, even though I could have made generational wealth with this thing if I had traded it better. Instead, I just made a little bit of bread, but it's all good. Aave is a good coin though. If you want to play RWA, I think Pendle's your choice. I like the Pendle chart. Yeah, it looks like it's setting up for like a higher low or whatever, but that's not going to matter if your benchmarks are going to rip up. So this is a good looking coin. Finally, I'm going to run through the boomers. So these boomer kind of benchmarky kind of coins, they're all just ridiculously strong right now. You look at Tron. I always have a hard time saying I'm going to buy Tron because it's just a scam coin, but it is just, an up-only infinite turbo TWAP bid kind of coin. It, free money if you buy it, honestly. Similar-ish vibes with Ripple, although I'd much rather bet on Ripple between the two. The chart looks good, and it has basically all the reasons in the world to have a bunch of, dumb people come and pile in behind you after you buy it, so Ripple's kind of a no-brainer. Eventually, I'm going to be looking to add more alts to my port and go further down the risk curve, and the boomer coins are probably going to be one that I'm going to look to be honest, right? So we'll see. Litecoin is another one that I'm really fond of, right? The chart looks really good. And then finally, Bitcoin Cash. It's the same vibe on all of them, right? Yeah, sure, they have these kind of retarded moves, big picture, but they're all on these perpetual uptrends right now. I don't know what's happening, whether, I could see these things either having the treasury company scams come out, ETFs, or one of the things I've said for a while that we haven't really gotten yet is the index funds. So in TradFi, pretty popular product is the index funds. I'm wondering, when are we going to start to get like indexes for more, when are we going to get it like a Dino index, right? When are we going to get a meme coin index? Yeah. Whenever those products get launched, it will bode really well in the short to medium term for a lot of these kind of things, right? If you're long Ripple when it's getting acquired to be a part of an index, you're going to make money, Okay, that's more or less what I'm interested in. Again, as you can kind of see, my port is I'm not going crazy with the risk by any means, but I'm a tortoise, boys. I'm a slow and steady wins the race kind of trader. That works really, really well for me. I'm not trying to sprint into anything. I'll let the other traders be the sprinters and watch them just get their legs cut off in the process, and I'll just come slowly walking by with my turtle ass. All right, I'm gonna run through the chat. We'll look at a couple coins here and there and see what's popping. Somebody's asking about Pangu. Pangu's been really good recently. This kind of reminds me of Sui when Sui was in its early run stages. I'm gonna be sidelined and ignore this thing. It'll probably go higher. I don't like trading charts that look like this one too much though. It just seems too much of a fugazi. Listening to this on 2x speed, you sound coked out. 100%, bro. You guys can handle me on high speeds, which free alpha. Anytime you guys watch any videos, you should be trying to turn up the speed if you can get away with it. I watch most of my videos or podcasts or whatever on like 1.5 or 2x or even higher if I'm offered it. But I'm too fast of a talker. You can't turn me up. You're gonna You're gonna lose your fucking mind listening to me on 2x. ETH coins, like leverage bets for ETH. Honestly, guys, just fucking buy ETH is the no-brainer play if you want to make a leverage bet on ETH. I'm not gonna be doing any ETH beta plays probably. Probably your best ETH beta plays will be fundamental kind of things like ENA, for example, or memes that are on the ETH chain. But I don't have a lot to say on that for you. Maggie Waggy, can you please make a video explaining when to ignore traditional AMT rules? It's a hard video for me to explain. Maybe one day I'll get around to doing that for you. I have a bunch of videos in the process of getting, either they're made or they're getting made right now. So we're cooking up content. How to quickly identify changing market environment. There is not I know you want a 1, 2, 3 answer. It just doesn't exist, guys. Listen, understanding what regime you're in and understanding when you're transitioning from one regime to another is something that is really only going to come from experience. I could expedite your learning curve by telling you look for this, you look for that, a few different things here and there, but ultimately it's a time and experience thing. And I could not probably give you, you do this, you do that, and then you get answer Y, right? I am really good at understanding when we're going to go into a range, when we're probably going to break out of the range and stuff, right? My strongest suit or skill set with that is understanding when we're in a trend and then knowing when we're going to range. I can do that with really high consistency. The other one is much more of a coin flip, but we'll digress. I don't want to do that lesson right now. What? The low price we will try soon? Not sure if I'm asking correctly. I don't know what you're asking. What's like the low if you want to buy on... Are you talking about Bitcoin? Are you talking about altcoin? Re-ask your question, Victor. Hype? Yeah, I kind of already covered hype. I think that the hype chart looks really good, but it's a no-brainer. If I'm going to bet on a layer 1, I'm going to bet on ETH right now. Fart? Yeah, I'm ignoring Fart right now if I'm keeping it 100 with you. I don't like it trend structure-wise. Same kind of argument I would make with ETH. Originally, right? At this point, I don't want to buy it, even though it's a good area to buy. I understand. I would much rather wait for it to bounce and then put in a dip and then buy it, right? And have a better kind of structuring to it. I'm not trying to be super heavy on alts right now. Rather, I'm gonna wait. I'm patiently waiting for Bitcoin and ETH to take us higher, and then I will. Pretty wild that we've come full circle, right? In my early days, I would have talked about Bitcoin and ETH doing this and that, and then for years it was just whatever Bitcoin's doing, and we're back to the world of ETH maybe mattering a bit. Chainlink, Chainlink is another one that is near and dear to me, my friends. So, whoa. The heck? Oh. I guess it's just Link. Right? Yeah. I'll always love this coin. It won't even be pictured in the chart. There you go. I doodled this a long time ago, but I could not have quit my job to go full-time as a trader if it was not for Chainlink. So I always will love Chainlink for giving me the opportunity to become a full-time trader. Let's see, guys. Structurally, I've ignored this chart for a long time. I think that it looks kind of interesting. I have a bunch of friends that are Link Marines right now, so they're all happy. I don't have anything super negative to say about this for sure. It looks good. It's obviously a fundamentally strong coin, but that didn't matter for years. It was really weak for a long time, but yeah, I mean, it looks decent, no doubt. Don't have too much else to say on it though, man. I'm not allocated to it or anything. I'm going to drag it up on my list to pay more attention to it. Fart looks bad, to be honest. Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm ignoring it. I'm not really fucking with Fart currently. Fart is suffering from diarrhea, confirmed. Curve, I don't really want to be a ticker bot, guys. I'm not going to do a whole lot of tickers. Curve doesn't look bad. I really like Aave more between the two, right? If I'm going to bet on DeFi, I would rather just buy Aave spot. I did not do the new system talk. We'll see to what extent that's going to get leaked or not. SEC approves conversion of Grayscale's large cap fund into ETF. Didn't that already happen? So you rebalanced your bonk position, didn't you? I did that a long time ago. I'm not trying to be super frequent with the updates on Twitter and stuff. I really focus on just doing the quick live updates in Paragon. I don't care about doing that publicly, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I rebalanced out of bonk a long time ago. I rebalanced out of like all memes and stuff pretty much a while ago, and then bought back some Doge here. But yeah, I wasn't trying to be excessive with the risk for a while. Aptos. We can look at Aptos. Again, it's just like, I know, this is how you know I'm an old trader, right? We talk about Aptos. I don't care about this coin at all nowadays, but I'll always love this coin for January 2023. This was a fantastic opportunity. Aptos was really strong on the yearly open. And it basically created an alt season, right? It was just dartboard season for 2 months in January and February, I think, where it was just like, oh, this coin looks good, I'm going to buy it. And then it would go up 30%. And okay, this coin looks good, I'm going to buy it. And then it would go up 15%. And it was just like free money season. So I'll always fondly remember this period. Actually being objective about Aptos, I got nothing positive to say about this thing, right? It's giga weak. This is a layer 1, correct? There's no argument for any layer 1s doing well in the ETH regime, right? This is the ETH regime. The chart is super fucking weak. Sure, this is what ENA looked like a few weeks ago before ENA went up, so maybe this just goes up, but I'm a strength chaser, right? I'm trying to follow the flows of where the bid is at. There's clearly no fucking bid on this thing, right? This is not a bid coin. There's already some indexes, yeah, but they're not real indexes though, bro. Like wait till you have like a fucking IBIT BlackRock, like imagine the BlackRock meme coin index, right? That'll actually have big inflows and stuff. Indicators? Yeah. Wait for the video soon. Lear finished the indicator video today. Not sure when I'm gonna share it though. No problem, Jolly Rancher. Tabaku, I don't even know what the hell that is. Syrup and Say look decent as well. I'm sure they do. Cardano. I'll look at Cardano just because I'm actually kind of curious how it stacks up against the others. I'm probably going to say no-go on this one. Yeah, I don't... You compare Cardano against the other boomer coins I shared, this coin sucks by comparison. So sure, you could probably buy this and it will go up. But, gee, I mean, look at this shit. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I would rather sit out on this one. When markets are ranging, how did you know markets were going to finish higher for the year? Kevin, can you ask that question again with more specifics? When markets were ranging, so do you probably mean from like January and you know until recently, or what do you mean? Re-ask that and I'll answer your question. What settings do you use for the RVol? I don't use RVol. This isn't RVol. I use buy against sell volume. Isn't it time to be in alts versus ETH and BTC? Probably not. No. I would say no. I teach this lesson over and over and over and over and over and over and 17 more overs again, right? So I don't know why I always have to explain it, right? But I bet on Bitcoin and I wait for Bitcoin to go up. And when I'm confident that Bitcoin is going to go up, right? I'm not confident Bitcoin's set to go up today. I think it's going to go up, in the long term or whatever, but I'm not trying to allocate to alts until I think Bitcoin is ready to leg. When Bitcoin legs, that's when I buy alts, or is about to leg, that's when I buy alts. This seems maybe difficult for you guys to wrap your mind around. I know you guys have a lot of FOMO around seeing the green, but I don't give a shit if these coins go up a little bit right now. For me, it's about maximizing my opportunity and minimizing my risk, right? So when I time things with alts where I buy them in the window where they actually all go up a lot, right? Instead of just sitting in them, like I haven't sat in alts for months recently, right? So anyways, I don't know how else to explain it, right? I'm patiently waiting for Bitcoin to give me the all clear. What do you mean that open interest has no relation to spot market? Open interest is derivatives, right? So if I could go in and open infinite longs on the Ethereum perpetual, but if there's spot buyers coming in behind me constantly, then I'm not going to be under any pressure, right? The spot market will just carry me up. So that's what I'm saying, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have a direct relation. It's like the answer to all these questions is like the square and the rhombus example. A square is a rhombus, but a rhombus is not a square, right? I might have said that backwards, but you get the lesson either way. Leak the system? I can't leak shit when you guys are yapping. Arrow? I don't want to look at that. I'm pretty sure that's a lower cap coin. Sidelined? That was honestly the sideline Aptos meme. Like, I don't know anything about that guy that made that, but respect. It was a great meme. Fucking fantastic meme. Especially that he picked Aptos, which is such a clearly dog shit coin. It just makes the meme so much stronger. Is long ETH for now is FOMO pretty much, or is it more reasonable trying to understand psychology of the movement? I mean, I bought ETH recently again. I literally bought some ETH this morning. So, look. When I'm buying ETH or recently, I'm not buying it where it's like, oh, I'm putting a stop below here, and then if we trade at my stop, I'm wrong, right? I'm just buying up ETH and adding it to the portfolio. So, Yeah, it's me telling you to buy at 4,500 is, you know, not something I'm necessarily going to do. But if it, you know, if it does dip, you buy it. And if you think Bitcoin or ETH look really good and are going to trade up, then you buy shit. But you got to be patient. For me, guys, I'm not hesitant to buy into ETH as it goes up. I don't care. Caveat there is probably that I'm not like, you know, it's not a derivative play. I'm just buying spot and chilling with it. Zora, yeah, we can look at that really quickly. I know this thing's been pretty hot recently. I could see this being a dip buyer here pretty soon. Maybe it builds out a little rangy and goes up from there. I don't know. This thing probably doesn't give a fuck about what Bitcoin's doing. It probably will move mostly on its own since it's a new coin. I don't have too much to say on it. I don't know anything about the fundamentals. I know it's pretty hype, but yeah. With the color candles, what are the settings for that? I'm trying to figure out. It's Z-score standard deviations. I don't remember the exact settings. I think it's standard 3 and 2. So you're not convinced we're going higher on Bitcoin yet? I am and I am not, right? It's just we're patiently waiting for a spark of momentum. You look at Bitcoin and it's like it absolutely could just trade up at any moment, but also could trade down a little before it goes up. So I'm not interested in allocating to the alt stuff excessively. I have some alt exposure, but I'm gonna have a lot of altcoin exposure when I'm more confident in the trade up coming, right? If you followed me for a long time, or if you've been in the Paragon, this is not unfamiliar. You've seen this a lot. You know, I did not, for example, this is the bottom when I bought Bitcoin, but I did not buy alts until here. I bought alts here, and this is when alts started to go up, is here, right? Alts did not go up that much from here to here. They went up from here to here. Same kind of thing over here. Same kind of thing over here, right? That's the script that I run. Trying to be early to these things and having so much FOMO and fear, you know, fear of missing out, you're just gonna get clobbered that way, guys. When to short Bitcoin? Never. Arrow's huge. All right, you nerd. I'll look at your fucking Arrow coin. I don't have too much to say on this, right? Good local uptrend, right? We don't fuck with any of this really though, but it's got a decent local uptrend to it. If you like the coin, you'll be fine with it, I guess, right? I'm not going to show you on anything like this. What up, Slimy? At a generalization, how often do you trade perps for spot? How much volume spot do you trade versus perps? I don't know the exact answer to that, obviously, and that definitely changes over time. So, for example, 2020 to 2021, my perp volume and futures volume was enormous. You know, almost kind of numbers that I would say and you wouldn't believe. And my spot volume would have been a decimal point of that by comparison. So, back in the day, I would say I probably traded 10 to 15 times more perp volume than I did spot back in the day. Might even be closer to 20 times. I used to trade a lot of perp volume. You know, doing literally $750 million in 6 months at one point in 2021. So I did a lot of volume back then. My volume on derivatives has slowed down enormously recently over the past. It's just not, maybe I shouldn't word it like that. It's been a steady decline ever since the 2021 top. I just don't put the same sizing on the trades that I used to. I used to trade with like all my money. I don't do that anymore. I want some fucking peace and quiet in my life, you know? So to answer your question, I probably trade about 2 to 3 times more perp volume than I do spot right now. But as you could probably tell, based off you're asking that question, and since you're in the Paragon, you probably see it a lot. I trade spot a lot these days, right? Like a lot of my stuff is just me rebalancing the port and adding spot or, you know, reducing spot. So anyways, we'll digress. Hopefully that's a good enough answer. Elliott Waves, legend. Spot enjoyer, how's the weather there? You're asking some crazy questions. Bro's trying to get me to dock Bitcoin dominance, and he wants me to talk about spot at the same time. That's the craziest concoction of questions I've ever gotten in my life, MA. Actually, that fried my brain reading that. I'm definitely a spot enjoyer. It's hot as fuck where I live. Thoughts on Bitcoin dominance? I don't care about BTC Dom, but we'll look at it for funsies. What the hell? Damn. I didn't realize. Let's go. You know what this is, right? This is not really the aggregate of alts doing well. This is ETH. ETH is probably what's making this take place. That's pretty interesting. This is probably one of the first breakdowns in this trend, actually. This is actually the first breakdown in the trend, I imagine. So there you go. You heard it here first. Alt season is on its way. Now, honestly, guys, you want ETH to continue to do well if you're an altcoiner, right? If you're not a Bitcoin holder and you hold alts, you really want to continue to see ETH do well. It's going to carry your coins up. ETH price discovery will trigger alt reprice. I agree. Not even the guy that asked about Arrow. Yeah, I'm going to call you a nerd anyways, Andrew, because that's what we do. By the way, Magus, wanted to ask if you still trade Orion Terminal. Not really, bro. I don't really do the whole high-tech alt stuff that much. I had a lot of fun in 2023 with that style, but I don't really do it too much these days. The main reason why I would go back to doing the high-tech shitcoin trading is if the markets are really boring, right? I really fell back on that because the markets were boring and that was the only thing for me to do. Look across the board. What would you say is a good double bottom and rounded base setup, similar to what ENA pulled? A lot of coins have that kind of dynamic, you know, like literally any of them. I really feel like a lot of coins look like this kind of structure you see on Doge, where they've kind of been putting in these kind of rounded out bottoms, and I just think that it's just rounding out to trend upwards, hopefully. A lot of coins probably are in this basket. I don't really want to do a whole bottom forming setup explanation, though. No problem, Jake. If you had to pick two AI coins, Tau and Near. I don't really have any AI coins that are high on my list, man. Tau doesn't look egregiously bad or anything. I don't know, man. I'm not going to show you on AI coins. I don't have anything. Fetch AI died with the merger. Yeah, that's crazy because like I traded this coin a lot. I don't even know if the ticker still exists. I guess it does. I traded this coin a lot, but yeah, it's just not a hot coin anymore. This was a wave right here, boys, in 2024. I did not extract from this wave effectively too. I sold way too early, but it was a wave nonetheless. When you say alt season, well, for the record, before I even answer the question, I'm mostly joking when I'm saying alt season, guys. Every fucking couple of months, it's alt season. You just gotta get good at this game, and it's always alt season. Okay, when you say alt season, is it Ethereum-specific alts or quality alts, regardless of layer 1, layer 2? It will probably be more ETH-related stuff, so imagining ETH memes and ETH utility will do well on top of ETH. And then you'll probably get to a point where eventually, right, if Bitcoin and ETH go high enough, all your altcoins are going to go up. But I would not be targeting other layer 1s or layer 2s or anything, yeah? Everyone shut up so we get some sauce. This guy knows. This guy is a knower. 67 likes, press it, smash it to 100. 100%, yeah. How am I supposed to be leaking trading systems if there's no likes on the YouTube? This guy's spitting. Ansem gave you a shout out on Gainsey's stream. On Gainsey's stream. That's kind of funny. So, yeah, Ansem is one of the larger accounts that always like my stuff. I don't have any animosity towards him. I know that some people on CT might. He seems like a, you know, decent dude to me for the most part, from a human being standpoint. I don't know about all the coins and whatnot, but yeah, I do always appreciate it when the larger accounts shout me out, because sometimes I feel like I sit in the shadows. All right, I caught up with chat. So listen, guys. I'm not gonna leak too much around the system talk, but we'll do some just generalized conversation around it, right? So essentially, what I did was, you know, I've had my different systems, different approaches and stuff, and they're all very, very similar. It's just a slight change here and there is what I'll do. And it's always the trading system focus is always about refining it and making it just smoother and simpler, better, easier, all that kind of stuff, right? So what I did recently was I went through and said, what would my trading system look like if I was to explain it to somebody who has no real, experience, right? Or close to no experience. So that's kind of what I did, where I wrote it out, and it has every piece, right? It has the pieces from what tools you're going to use, how you're going to determine what type of setups you're going to be deploying. Now that you know what the setups actually are, how you define the risk on the setups, how you profit from the setups. It's literally covers all those things all the way through. Don't worry, Jake. I'm not really going to leak too much of it, to be honest, especially because the video is not even complete. But the idea of what I came to is basically, instead of just putting out a video that is a video that runs through my stuff, from now on, my systems in the Paragon are going to be presented in a better way, where it's going to be, the video is going to be one piece. So instead of it being just a video, it'll be, okay, this is the complete video that covers everything. And then you're going to have the text that covers step 1, 2, all the way to, whatever, step 69, right? Have all the steps. And when you get to your steps, so you come to step 1, you're going to read and it's going to tell you the rules. And then it's going to have a link to the video that explains to you those rules. So I'm really working a way to do a complete rounded version. Not only am I simplifying my own system, but education-wise, you're about to see a massive level up with this. If you're in the group, you've already seen the first test wave that I put out last week of this. And I'm going to work on refining that, and hopefully the feedback is good. And then I'm going to do this with all my trading systems. So right now it's a high time frame system that I'm attacking mostly. Then I'll do intraday and maybe scalp next. We'll see. But that's basically the generalized explanation. Not only is it going to have the rules clearly listed out for you, having all the videos that are linked to it and stuff, and yeah, it's going to be really great, guys. So here, the only thing I'm really interested in leaking publicly right now is that for you guys, when you're doing your systems, a lot of times you're doing them wrong. You need to think about a top to bottom approach. So the first thing you want to be thinking about, right, is how do you decide even what the fuck you're supposed to be doing, right? Do I want to bet on up? Do I want to bet on down? Do I want to bet on sideways, right? You have to know how to fucking figure these things out. So that's why point number 1 is basically going to be around what tools do you use, and then how do you use them. Once you know your tools and how do you use them, that should give you some analysis. Yes, we're going to posit that. That's going to give you some analysis on up, down, or sideways. In markets, you're always betting on reversion or momentum. Those are the only real, as a directional trader, these are the only things that exist, right? If you're an arbitrage trader, a lot more will exist. This is all that exists for you. So now you're trying to identify which one you're trying to do. Now that you know you're trading reversion or momentum, you want to have a system for each, which I explain. I explain the how to enter, how to exit when you're right, how to exit when you're wrong, and it's basically a full fucking top to bottom thing. So one of the hardest things for me to teach is actually going to be the analysis thing, which I actually had a pretty big breakthrough recently for how I'm going to do that. We came up with a script based off the VWAP. We're going to have literally 4 words that go into it, and the combination of the 4 words is going to give you a fucking input at the end, or an output at the end rather, which tells you bet on reversion or momentum and bet on up or down. And I'm really fucking excited about how that's coming together. So I don't want to, I'm not going to come on here and give that away. I give away so much stuff on the public streams as is that there's honestly no part of me that feels bad about gatekeeping a couple things here and there. But yeah, maybe if my accounts, if my social media accounts maybe pop off more, maybe I actually get some YouTube subs or some Twitter followers or whatever, I'll probably be more inclined to release things for free. But as it stands, I don't really feel incentivized to do that a lot of the time. Just keeping it 100 with you. So if there's any questions or any confusion around that, maybe you can, scam me into explaining a little bit more if you're clever. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I'm in the process not only of reworking the systems, but just doing a complete rework of like all my education. It's really hard to get through my education because there's so much of it. So that is something that I've been working on. I spent literally 4 hours on Saturday working on that. So yeah, I never thought that I would be at this point in my life and I would be working on a Saturday by choice, but here we are. So all right, guys, I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream here pretty soon. Any last second questions, topics, by all means hit me. Just gonna do some closing shills. If you're not already familiar with the Paragon, I've already shilled a bunch of times, so we'll move on past that. But what maybe some of you guys aren't super familiar with, check chat right now, is the cookbook. So doing the free newsletter with Doc, Charlie, Stoic, Mercury, and myself. I'm really happy with how it's coming together. I would honestly suggest you sub to that. It's free, and you're gonna get a lot of value. We've already given a bunch of trade setups that were actionable in there. So yeah, we're gonna kind of unwind the stream here. Any questions or topics, I'm happy to yap and chat with the boys, but I'm gonna move on with my day here shortly. I've got a lot coming, guys. I have at least one video coming this week for you guys. Gonna be the Trading View Indicator video. We're working on another one that's coming soon, so you should have, honestly, just between the streams, the outlooks, the educational videos, the cookbook, it's just like unlimited content coming in almost. All right, let's read through chat. Not enough likes. We'll buy a book from you. I appreciate that, Jolly Rancher. I've honestly thought about it. Hopefully this doesn't come across as just being like, egotistical or whatever, but I do think everyone wants to listen to me about trading, but I actually think I have some life lessons to share here and there. I've gotten my ass whooped by the market so many times that I actually learned a thing or two about life, So there's a part of me that wants to sit down and actually write, but then the other part of me wonders if anybody would ever take the time to read it, Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Nelly. I respect that, Jolly Rancher. I can't say otherwise, man. What do you enjoy the most trading system-wise? Okay. That's an interesting question. So, my systems are, just so that everyone's on the same page here. Port management, swing trading, day trading, and scalping. I very rarely scalp these days because it's just not plus EV for me most of the time. Sometimes I really like day trading when, like for example, in February of this year, we were in just a very volatile regime where every day Trump was saying something and we were going up and down a lot. You'd see just 5% swings on Bitcoin. I was day trading Bitcoin a lot during that. Probably the best answer to your question is the port management, right? It took me a long time, right? I've been trading for 10 years to get to this point, but now I'm at a point where port management is what I care about the most. Not only because is it like where most of my money is at, like most of my money is not deployed in intraday trading and stuff like that. Most of it's in the portfolio, yeah? So this is the most important thing to me, but also it's just the most chill style. So I think you really need to do like this and this to learn a lot and to get your, trading capital moving in the right direction. And then you move into these things as you get more experience and more capital, right? And I think that everybody will, if you have success with markets, you will end at the portfolio management stage. I think that that's like the end game for most people. To each their own, right? Maybe you don't agree with this. Maybe you do. It's just my own style. It's my own ting. Hopefully that's helpful though. Rage bait me into sharing more. Nice try. If you guys successfully rage bait me, I'll honestly be impressed and give you a pat on the back, no doubt. Top 3 trades of all time. I don't really... Normally, when we come on the streams, if you watched a lot, I normally come and talk about my biggest mistakes and biggest losses. I don't really flex my biggest wins. My biggest wins in my career... So I'm going to explain this in terms of percentage growth, right? I'm not... Like, there's 2 ways of thinking about it, right? I'm not just talking about like what's my biggest trades in terms of dollars or my biggest terms of percentage of growth, right? If you go from like 1,000 to like 100,000, that's an enormous growth, but you could have a trade that was plus 250K way later in your career and it's not a big deal, right? So I'm going to talk about in terms of percentage growth. What were the things that really helped my port grow? The first one that I probably would have to say, I'm going to do probably more than 3. 2017, I got really lucky where I bought ETH early. I bought a lot of ETH. I started buying ETH at $42, and then I bought a lot of ETH at $200 and $300, right? So my average was in the low 200s on ETH, and it went to 1,400. And no, I didn't sell it or anything, but it was just like a first like explosion of like, holy fuck, I actually got some bread. You know, I got some liquidity, right? Had never really had money. So ETH was big for me in that regard. Chainlink was really big for me in 2019. My average entry on ETH, excuse me, let me get some water. My average entry on Chainlink, you can't even see it on the chart. My average entry on this coin was 43 cents. So it was literally before the perps or anything even existed. No, unfortunately, I did not sell it at $50. Believe it or not, I actually sold this thing at $5, right? Sounds like a El Bozo moment, kind of was, but also one of my biggest trades in my career percentage-wise. My next big trade would probably be, let's look at Bitcoin. So after I got absolutely annihilated from this, I got absolutely just dumpstered from this move. I traded it poorly and lost a lot of money. After this, this probably is my biggest trade in my entire career, guys. I got shilled really hard on DeFi during the stage, but I was licking my wounds from this stage, and I was like mostly on vacation, spending time with family. I still did trade a little bit during this, but I was mostly AFK. I started trading a lot when this kind of came around. That was when I started to get active again. My biggest trade, though, was buying the 10K flip on Bitcoin and ETH and then shoving hard into DeFi from September to probably October. DeFi was going down. After summer, DeFi went up, then it went down, then we had DeFi winter. So being long Bitcoin and ETH here and then being long DeFi here as well, that basically is my kingmaker trade that, that set me up to be where I'm at today, guys, if I'm just being honest, right? If you go back and look at some of the coins, right, like Aave is one of them. All these coins just went up, So my DeFi bets were, let's see if I can remember all of them. It was long Aave, Compound, Sushi, Uni, Wi-Fi. I'm forgetting one other of the like really first ones. SNX. I was just long all of them. I basketed in all of them. And literally all of them just did this, right? For like 2 months, 3 months straight, they were just the strongest coins in the market. So that's my kingmaker trade, guys. I have, for the record, I don't like coming on here and just like bragging about my trades. I always feel uncomfortable, but you know what? You guys asked, so it's your fault, 100%. It's not me. I have no willpower. I had some other good plays here and there, right? I'll always be proud of the fact that I hedged and sold the top last cycle and then bought the bottom. But yeah, I mean, I try not to, I really don't even know what a lot of my good trades are, really, apart from some of those big ones like that, because I just don't care. I don't live in my life in the past, I could have talked about the trade in 2024 where, I literally made almost 7 figs on whiff in one perp trade, right? But I don't care at all about the past, right? I'm trying to move forward. If I always come and talk to you about how I sold the top last cycle, do you think I'm going to sell the top this cycle? No. I don't think about what I did last cycle very much. I think about moving forward. So there we go. Sorry if that was cringe, but you asked. Appreciate the stream and the cookbook and the X post. No problem, brother. Thank you, Nelly. We got some chatters. All right, let me get through all this. Got the Tree of Life on his team. We do. Thoughts on Battlefield? I didn't play it yet, man. I'm a counter striker, so I don't really care much for games like Battlefield. I'd much rather play CS. Jolly Rancher, those settings should be in there. You'll be fine. When Moon? You already know. Soon. Life Lesson Podcast would go hard. I just don't know if I think highly enough of myself to do that kind of stuff. It's not egotistical to formulate your history book, you know. It's an exact history as you remember, even if no one reads it. Thanks, brother. I'd read the book as long as it's in your lingo. All right. Please pray for me. This is my last year trading. I have to figure out what. Just be patient, bro. If you try to force these things, it's gonna be hard, man. Lens of how I view markets comes a lot from you, so a book would be insanely helpful. Thanks, Jolly. I do appreciate that. It's very kind. How many R is reasonable target for a month? I heard some traders say 10 is elite. That's not a good framework of just thinking about things in terms of R, right? Because some people 1R is like a fucking 15-point stop loss, and other people 1R is like 0.1, you know, loss, right? So basic risk to reward, like, that's kind of dumb. Assuming you're just operating off of pretty standard setups, I don't know, man. I don't know. As long as that R number is positive month over month, you're fine. That's the best answer for me to give you. Basics on how to develop a structured system for day trading. Learn all my auction market theory. Learn all my order flow. Learn all my momentum versus reversion. There you go. That'll be a good starting point for you, man. Just watch my shit, honestly. Percent or in terms of risk to reward, I meant. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, we went off percentage anyways. Yo, Mag's catching at the end. We'll go back and watch. What up, user 101? Curious what you would consider green light for risk on with alts. Basically, whenever I think Bitcoin's set to leg. So we're still in the middle of the summertime, which is one of the hardest things to be bullish about for Bitcoin, right? So maybe Bitcoin is still going to chop people up a bit here, but whenever I'm at this stage where either Bitcoin has just legged and is consolidating, this is when I bought alts recently. This is one of my plays from here to here. So I'll probably do a play like that if it legs up, or, you know, something like this could be an opportunity, right? Which is kind of where we're at right now, right? Look at where we're at. Ooh. It's kind of spicy, boys. That's feeling... This is feeling real similar right now. The Fractal King right there. Fractal LARP. Thank you, Bakari. Mega Shorthy, you just trust. Yeah, I got you, bro. Thanks, 11. Now you're good, Slimy. Don't sweat it. Soul getting a bid? I own Solana, so yes, I approve that message. Would you recommend working in traditional bracket portfolio management terms? I can't speak to that, Chuck Norris. I don't have any traditional experience. I taught all myself everything along the way, you know. I don't have a good answer for you, bro. I'm not going to LARP. I think what makes it very hard to be patient for a lot of people is that consistent cycle is almost over. And that's the last cycle. Yeah, all that stuff's not true, though, right? It's not the last cycle. The cycle may be over tomorrow. It may not be over tomorrow. Who knows, right? The music's still going, so we still dance. You're right. Being patient for me is easy because I've already, you know, in some way, shape, or form kind of won already, right? So I don't need to be, you know, I've got nothing making me impatient. There's no incentive for me to FOMO or be quick about any of this shit. I'm incentivized to be slow and steady. No, all I can say, guys, is you just have to take a step back and just observe yourself. If you're stuck in these waves of emotions and FOMO and stuff, please take a step back and ask yourself if you're being reasonable or not. Most likely you're not. And that kind of outside view and taking a step back and looking at yourself could be all you need potentially to just be patient, right? Be confident that the money's going to come to you slowly. But I've taught this lesson and used this many times before, right? Most of you guys are the hare, and very few of you are the tortoise. And the tortoise always wins the race, guys. I don't know anybody in my group of any of my peers or friends that have won via being the hare, where they sprinted to the end of the race. Every single one of my friends or peers that has any level of success, whether they're super successful or moderately, they're all the tortoise in some way. Slow and steady, just year after year, pushing forward. That's how you get to your goals, guys. If you're always so worried about getting there fast, right? I can't say it any more clearly, right? I have so many data points in my life from friends trying to be fast and from friends accepting the slow route. And all of my friends, whether they're good traders or some of my friends that are bad traders, ultimately the results are pretty similar. When you sprint to the end of the race, you underperform, or you just don't perform at all. So I'm going to digress from that. Just take that and think about it a little bit though. It's the artificial deadline you've placed on yourself that makes being patient difficult. Yeah, well said, brother. A lot of that, I could maybe expand and say a lot of that comes from comparison. You think, oh, Johnny John over there has all this money. Why don't I have money? Johnny John's 23 and I'm 28. Why does he have more money than me, right? Fuck all that shit, right? Most of what you see from people flexing their wealth, this is why you'll never really see me flexing any money, right? It's just an illusion what you see, right? When people are really flexing, it's normally not real, or it's exaggerated. So just please try not to compare yourself to other people and just chill. If you look at yourself every month, if you've moved forward month after month, whether you've made money, you've learned something, you've become a more mindful person, right? As long as you move forward every month, then you're fine. That's the only goal, really. Move forward every month. So thinking end of the cycle in the year, kinda. Who knows, man? It's pretty reasonable to think that at the end of this year, beginning of next year, we could maybe struggle. But you got to take it day by day. I can't predict the future. So I'll have to see what the end of the year looks like and feels like before I can make that call more confidently. Being more patient and working harder than others is vastly underrated edge. 100%. I mean, I'll hear Doc say that on his streams and it sounds a little gay sometimes, but it's facts, right? That being patient is one of the more realistic edges for you guys. Patience. Super subjective, but any ballpark figure on equity needed to be an idiot quitting the job early? Look, dude, I'm going to give you the most real answer of all time. You're never going to be ready to quit your job. I talked about this with Doc recently, and basically, for me, I had some success, and I had, track record-wise, and I had some money built up when I quit my job. But ultimately, I was not ready to quit my job when I did, and I got met with a shell-shocking, period of the market being really difficult. So the real answer is, guys, you're never going to be ready to quit your job and to go full-time. You're either just going to do it one day or you're not. And it's not an easy, path, so I can't sit here and tell you guys that's the choice you should do. But for me, I just said one day, I can't do this shit anymore, right? It also helped me that, COVID was popping up, and it was I don't want to deal with all this COVID bullshit at my job too. So that made it a little bit easier for me to choose to leave. But, you just take the leap one day. That's the honest answer. And the reason why I hate giving that kind of answer is because I know that out of the 10 of you that will follow that, 8 to 9 of you are going to hit the ground and splat. And maybe 1 or 2 will bounce back and succeed. So just take it with a grain of salt, guys. Being a full-time trader doesn't always need to be the end goal for people, right? Having a job that lets you have freedom of your time is actually the goal, right? For a lot of you. Should be the goal. Never going to give you should have $300,000 saved up and quit your job, though, because there's no answer, right? Especially depending on where you live, all these kind of variables, right? Do you have children? Do you have a wife? All these things matter. The less responsibilities you have and the younger you are, the more risky you can be with that, right? If you don't have a wife, you don't have a kid, you have a decent job, you're pretty young, you can take these risks probably, right? So the answer is person dependent. Was doing well as a tortoise, hit a banger, then drew down hard and tried to make it all the unrealized back. Being here and got giga clapped. I'm sorry to hear that, Power Naps. It kind of just is what it is. I've definitely been there. Just gotta, find a way to look at it in a positive way, glass half full. Figure out what you can do better next time and just move forward. David Goggins, this ain't about me versus me, or Rich Doll. It's about David Goggins versus David Goggins. There you go, right? It's the self-comparison. It's one of the best ways to actually, if you want to outperform and do better than other people, just be hyper-competitive against yourself. Oh, I'm not doing more this month than I did last month. I'm kind of a bitch. It's time to step it up and do more, right? That's the kind of mindset. Annual rate of return over all trades. I don't know the answer to that question, guys. In terms of percentage, I've had a few years that have been insane, right? I mean, I've had 2021 was probably like a 12x or 11x, I would guesstimate return on my whole worth, right? I really crushed it in 2021. 2024 were great years for me, but I can't get to that realm of hitting a 10x in a year, basically. I just can't do it anymore, I don't think. Any interests, closing thoughts on Bitcoin price action right now? Just, it's chopping upwards, man. I don't know what to tell you. I think one day I'm either gonna wake up to it dipping and I'm gonna buy more, or I'm gonna wake up to it being up and I'm gonna celebrate. I don't know, man. I feel really good about everything overall. Just be patient, it's a tortoise season right now, honestly, slow and steady. Thank you for answering. No problem, Enchanted. In terms of R per month, assume 1% risk. Again, I think I gave the best answer earlier. If you're gaining more, right? If you had 5R last month and you have 6R this month, then that's great, right? Just try to make your R, month over month, try to do better. That's actually the best answer. I don't want to give a concrete answer, man. This is actually not going to help you. Thank you, Lear. And I'm always trying to pass that on to everybody else. No one can outcompete you at being you. Your unique quirks and traits are your competitive edge. At best, you'll be a Chinese knockoff of somebody else. Yeah, I feel that. Every now and then I get frustrated because I see other people, what I feel like, copying me. But you're right? Like Livid said, only I can be me. And other people can maybe try to emulate or do their best impersonation. But what you guys see and hear is my most authentic self every day. So because there's no performative nature, there's no scripting, there's no, what if I use this word instead of this word? You just hear my most honest and organic, thoughts, right? And because of that, no one else could ever be me. So, like, I thought about that with some of the AI stuff, right? You hear like people like all these you got a banking job, or a lot of these jobs are going to become obsolete with AI, right? Part of me thinks, I don't know, can you program an AI to be as retarded and, simultaneously kind of smart as me? I don't know. Don't know. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and end the stream there, guys. I really appreciate all the nice things that were said, great questions. Hopefully you learned something today. If you want to expedite your learning curve, check out the Paragon group. Code Mojito for 15% off. It's not going to last too long. We'll probably do it for like a week or so. So capitalize on that if you are looking to already. Be optimistic about the markets. Look for opportunities to get long if you're not already, because, we're in a long regime. I mean, we've been in a long regime for 3 years now, and I don't see that going away anytime soon. So buy dips and pray. Buy dips and pray. All right. Thanks, guys. If anything didn't get covered today that you really want to, maybe pop up in my comments or something like that, you can always ask questions. I'll do my best. Good luck out there, guys. Cheers.